Hey, Knockout, you got favorites though, huh? Who your favorite?
Go ahead, Tank.
All y'all, I got Tank over all y'all, bro.
All right, that's
Tank knock all y'all out, bro.
Ain't nobody knocking me out.
Shakur Stevenson is still after Tank.
I think Shakur will win. Like, I think Shakur got better skill, and of course he's just better defensively. Like, I'm always going with the better skill, the better defensive fighter. Tank's skill is phenomenal.
Just recently, Tank and Shakur found themselves in the same live session, which turned out to be a battle of verbal jabs, which has been a usual thing between these two.
He didn't even fight at 135 yet.
Right.
He didn't even have power at 126, 30, or none of that.
He is good.
Okay.
Let's catch up on the ongoing heat between these two.
He just jumped back. You never see him slip no punch. You never see him slip no punch. Go look at it. You see him back up from a lot of people. Back up, move around, move around.
Now, in the fiercely competitive world of our favorite sport, verbal sparring can be as intense as the physical bouts in the ring. This was on full display during a recent live interaction between Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis, where both fighters exchanged heated words and harsh criticisms, each trying to assert their dominance and superiority. The conversation was a blend of confidence, bravado, and pointed jabs, highlighting the intense rivalry that exists between these two fighters.
I like the young fella. He's feeling himself.
The dialogue began with Stevenson acknowledging the opinion of a mutual acquaintance who favored Gervonta Davis over other fighters, including himself. This set the stage for the fiery exchange that followed. Stevenson, never one to back down, accepted the preference, but quickly asserted his own resilience, promising to knock out Tank when they meet in the ring.
135?
35, 40, I don't know. I could see it happening not too far in the future.
Really?
Yeah, I think Tank will sign that contract.
Gervonta Davis, known for his formidable punching power and unbeaten record, was quick to respond. "That guy's dead," he said dismissively, indicating that he did not believe anyone, including Stevenson, could withstand his power in the ring.
Ain't nobody knocking me out. Ain't nobody, that shit dead. But that's a solid pick though.
This exchange of words was just the beginning of a conversation that would delve deep into their respective abilities, past performances, and future predictions. The heat soon shifted to their past performances in the ring. Stevenson mentioned his fights against Jamal Herring and Oscar Valdez, where he received considerable acclaim for his performances. After the fight, right after we do fight and I show the world what I'm really made of, what are you going to say? Stevenson asked, challenging Davis to acknowledge his skill and potential.
Hey, but after the fight, right? After we do fight and I show the world like what I'm really made of, what you gonna say?
Shakur was also criticized for his past successes, but criticized his performance against Edwin de los Santos. When you fought Naka and you fought, name someone you can say you really fought. Even Edwin de los Santos. I criticize every bit of you for those performances, Davis said, implying that Stevenson's approach in those fights was lacking. However, Stevenson threw another jab at Tank. He suggested that if he fought Tank the same way he would fight at peak performance, he would not fare well. If that was Tank in front of me on November 16th, if I fought the same exact fight, y'all would be saying something different, Shakur said, confident that he would have dominated in the same situation.
I mean, shit, if that was Tank in front of me on November the 16th, if I fought the same exact fight, y'all be saying something different.
Davis, undeterred, fired back, questioning Shakur's authority to judge his performance and push him to a fight with him. I don't know who made you like the god or like to tell me what's gonna happen, Davis retorted, emphasizing that he would fight in his own style and his own will regardless of outside opinions. This exchange underscored the tension between the two fighters, each confident in their abilities and dismissive of the other's critique.
You not, bro?
I don't know who I don't know who made you like the god or like to tell me what's gonna happen or what. Like I'm gonna fight how I fight regardless.
As the heat progressed, the focus shifted to potential future matchups and the skills each fighter would bring to the table. Davis, confident in his abilities, was dismissive of the challenge Stevenson might pose. When asked if he thought Stevenson would be his hardest fight, Davis responded with a definitive, "Hell no."
One of the guys, obviously, you and Shakur got into it on Twitter. You was like, you wanted them 6 or 7.
Yeah, he's definitely one of them.
For sure?
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be your hardest fight?
Hell no.
Davis went on to question Stevenson's boxing expertise. Show me something that he did outrageous. Show me his power, not outrageous. His defense? You think he got defense? Davis questioned, suggesting that Stevenson's skills were overrated. He continued to criticize Stevenson's technique, claiming that he lacked proper defense and offensive innovation. You never see him slip, no punch. Go look at it. You see him back up from a lot of people? Back up, move around, move around. He doesn't have any technique and his offense is the same thing, Davis argued.
Show me something that he did spectacular. Show me something that he did outrageous. Show me. His power not outrageous.
Okay.
What defense?
You think he got defense?
Despite Davis's harsh critique, Stevenson remained unfazed. He acknowledged that Stevenson had the internet excited with his statements, particularly about the 6 or 7 more fights he intended to have, including a potential bout with Tank. He's definitely one of them for sure, Shakur confirmed, indicating that a fight with Davis was on his radar.
He don't got no technique, and his offense is the same thing. Go look at his fights.
The conversation also touched on the supreme confidence both fighters have in their own abilities. Davis expressed his belief that he was unbeatable, stating, "The only person that could beat me is Gervonta Davis himself." He dismissed the notion that Stevenson or any other fighter could pose a real threat to him. "These guys cannot touch me at all. They all were in the ring with me. They all have been in the ring and I crack both of them," Davis boasted, referring to his past sparring sessions with top fighters, including Stevenson.
Yeah,
right.
You got the last one right. That's the only person that can beat me, Gervonta Davis. That's the only person. Them niggas cannot touch me at all.
Stevenson, however, was equally confident in his own skills and potential. He asserted that he would fight his own way, regardless of Davis's opinions or criticisms. "I'm gonna fight how I fight regardless," Stevenson declared, maintaining his stance that his unique style and approach would be effective against any opponent, including Davis. The conversation concluded with a bold prediction about the future and legacy in the sport. Shakur expressed his belief that when all the fights were said and done, he would emerge as the greatest of his era. "When it's all said and done, the GOAT, when that's all, when me comes out on top," Shakur predicted confidently.
Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, the one that comes out on top, the GOAT. When
me.
That's all,
Me.
He anticipated that people would look back on this conversation and recognize that he had foretold his own greatness. "We gonna come back to this meeting later on down the line after all the fights that's being made, and y'all gonna say this dude was the truth, and he told y'all everything before it happened," Shakur asserted, suggesting that his confidence and foresight would be vindicated in the future.
Close.
Me.
That is
We're going to come back to this interview later on down the line after all the fights is being made, and y'all going to say this dude was the truth, and he told y'all everything.
Now, we don't know about you, but looking at Davis's top performance from his fights, those words are enough to intimidate someone like Shakur. And yes, apparently Shakur, even though expressing massive confidence against Tank, is a little intimidated. And a good proof of this is when Shakur saw a video of Tank sparring. The footage, which surfaced on social media, showed Gervonta, Tank Davis, brutally dominating Devin Haney during a 2017 sparring session. The video quickly went viral, and the reactions from the boxing community were swift and telling. Shakur Stevenson was among those who saw the footage and couldn't hide his shock. Taking to social media, Stevenson expressed his amazement at the severity of the punishment Haney endured. "Never in my life have I taken punishment like that by any fighter, good lord," Stevenson posted on X. His reaction showed the brutality of the sparring session and his astonishment at Haney's ordeal. Stevenson's statement carried a weight of surprise and possibly a hint of apprehension. It was clear that the video left a strong impression on him, as he openly admitted never having experienced such a severe beatdown in his training sessions. This admission brought into question whether Stevenson was expressing fear towards Davis or simply acknowledging the raw power and skill on display in the video. But we can tell there was a little fear in his statements. Gervonta Davis wasted no time in responding to Stevenson's tweet. His reply was simple, but loaded with implication. "You know what's up too." This cryptic message was perceived as a direct warning to Stevenson, suggesting that if they were to face each other in the ring, Stevenson would face a similar fate to what Haney experienced in that sparring session. Davis's response demonstrated his confidence and his psychological tactics in intimidating potential opponents. By referencing the brutal sparring footage, Davis was sending a clear message to Stevenson and the rest of the boxing world about the consequences of stepping into the ring with him.
I told you it's a 50-50 fight.
Ain't no 50-50 fight, nigga. How you gonna keep me off and you ain't got no power?
This exchange on social media underscored the psychological warfare that often precedes high-stakes boxing matches, and you can feel it coming from Tank. His ability to instill fear and uncertainty in his opponents is as much a part of his arsenal as his physical skills. You saw him trying to play mind games with Frank, making him flinch. The sparring footage only added to the whole picture as a powerful tool in his psychological playbook, reinforcing his reputation as a fearsome opponent.
There's that left hook again as Tank stays just low enough. Quick uppercut. Ryan's going for the down. Ryan Garcia on a 30 straight left.
Stevenson's reaction to the footage, whether interpreted as fear or respect for Davis's abilities, added another layer to their rivalry. His open admission of shock could be seen as a moment of vulnerability, something that Davis could exploit in their ongoing war of words. It also sparked a debate among fans and analysts about how Stevenson would handle a potential fight with Davis, given the apparent intimidation factor at play.
I was also told that Devin got the best of you in the last sparring session.
And you know I sparred him twice.
That's right. If
Bill
Bill
took him out the ring, I almost knocked him out in Floyd gym. Did they tell you that? Did they tell you that?
The leaked sparring footage and the subsequent reactions also highlighted the contrasting styles of Stevenson and Davis. Stevenson is known for his defensive prowess, a style which reminds us of the legendary Pernell Whitaker. His ability to strike and avoid being hit has earned him accolades, but it has also drawn criticism for being less entertaining to watch. But Shakur has not always been viewed as a great boxer by experts and fans too. Probably you too. This criticism was evident during Stevenson's bout against Edwin de los Santos last November, where fans at the T-Mobile Arena booed him for his performance. Despite his technical skill and defensive mastery, Stevenson's style did not resonate with the crowd, and he faced backlash from fans and elite fighters in the 135-pound division. This rejection added another dimension to Stevenson's rivalry with Davis, who is known for his aggressive, crowd-pleasing style. And speaking of criticism, even Teofimo Lopez himself does not believe that Shakur should even be talking in this class.
More move for himself.
Yeah, you mentioned the Shakur, that was at the Shakur fight. I remember you said something like he sized you up in the locker room or something. What was that moment? Like, what was that?
I was with his grandfather that we've known each other for so long, since kids. I mean, me and Shakur ran into each other, I think we were like 11, 12.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson, despite his undeniable talent and undefeated record, finds himself increasingly isolated in the world of boxing. This sense of isolation was starkly highlighted when Teofimo Lopez dismissed Stevenson's call out for a fight at 140 pounds, telling him bluntly to stay in his lane at 135. Teofimo Lopez, with an impressive record and still rising, didn't mince words. He criticized Stevenson's defensive hit-and-not-get-hit style, suggesting it wasn't enough to secure the high-profile fights he desired. "I know you are calling us out at 140, but you're fighting at 135. Stay in your lane," Lopez said during an interview with the Danza Project. He further advised Stevenson to be more aggressive and engaging in his fights if he wanted to stay relevant and attract the big names.
To brag about it, you know, Shakur is a very talented, skillful, technique fighter.
Yeah.
You know, can't take anything away from it. However, scared to get hit.
Now, while that is interesting by itself, Teofimo Lopez's words seem to only bounce back at him too. Interestingly, Teofimo's stance on Stevenson seemed hypocritical. In the same breath, he called out Terrence Crawford, a fighter competing at 154 pounds, proposing a catchweight fight at 147. This contradiction suggests that Lopez's refusal to fight Stevenson might have less to do with weight class and more to do with marketability and financial incentives, which is one big reason we have seen Tank avoiding a fight with Shakur too, the less cash Shakur brings to the table. Simply put, a fight against Stevenson, who is not yet a major draw, doesn't promise the same lucrative payday as a bout against a star like Crawford.
I want to see you win one. What's a mega fight in your opinion? You versus who?
Terrence Crawford.
Terrence Crawford.
This brings into focus the issue of Stevenson's marketability. Despite his impressive skills and unbeaten record, Stevenson hasn't yet become a major ticket seller. His style, while effective, is often criticized for not being entertaining enough to captivate a broad audience, like what we saw in his fight against Edwin de los Santos, where fans booed him for his cautious approach. The backlash from that fight has contributed to his current status as somewhat of an outcast in the elite boxing circles at 135 pounds.
Because Shakur don't like pressure, you know, but he's able to withstand it in a different way.
Teofimo Lopez's comments reflect a broader sentiment within the boxing community. You gotta fight, you really gotta fight, Lopez emphasized, urging Stevenson to adopt a more aggressive style. Lopez, who is defending his WBO light welterweight title against Steve Claggett, pointed out that he is willing to face tough opponents, but criticized Stevenson for not showing the same willingness to engage in gritty exchanges.
So right now, despite Shakur being so gifted as he is, I don't believe he's going to get the amount of support that he's needing right now.
Lopez's dismissal also underscores a significant challenge for Stevenson. To gain the respect and attention of other top fighters, he may need to adapt his style to be more crowd-pleasing, even if it means taking more risks in the ring. This adaptation could potentially open doors to the high-profile fights he seeks and help him build a stronger fan base.
Wrong with my brother. New generation taking over. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shakur, you already know, champ. We taking over. Yo, Jared, how you doing, bro?
But the whole boxing community has always had something to say when it comes to Shakur. As you know, William Zepeda is becoming one of the most fearsome fighters in the lightweight division. The southpaw, who packs a punch, can also throw a lot as well, as he threw nearly 1,600 punches over the course of 12 rounds against Joseph Diaz Jr. in October of last year. Just recently, Zepeda headlined a Golden Boy Promotions card in Arlington, Texas, in which he targeted the body well and dropped Jaime Arboleda 3 times, with the third and final shot ending the contest in the second round.
I think he called out Shakur Stevenson. I just wanted to see.
Te escuchó llamando a Shakur Stevenson.
Sí, ya queremos las mejores peleas, queremos destacar más en el boxeo.
It is no longer a question of if Zepeda can contend with the best in the division. It is simply when can Zepeda compete with the best in the division. With Devin Haney holding all 4 world titles, that means Zepeda currently has to wait for simply one fighter, which we have learned can slow down a division. At this point, it was put that if Haney were to beat Vasily Lomachenko on May 20th, Haney would move up in weight, and that could create some chance for Zepeda to fight for a vacant world title, which, well, happened.
At this moment, it was very hard for me.
What's wrong about crying?
But let's get to the interesting part. The 2 names outside of Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko viewed as the best in the division are Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson, and when asked by ProBox TV News about his thoughts on those fighters, Zepeda was very candid. They both have great boxing skills, said Zepeda via a translator last week during his Fight Week media obligations about both Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson. Shakur is a great boxer. Gervonta is strong.
And I'm telling you right now, this is exclusive. William Zepeda will fight Shakur Stevenson.
Zepeda now enters the mix as one of the fighters we would like questions answered about. As up until this point, we have seen very little to fault of the emerging formidable Mexican pressure fighter, who also has a very underrated fight IQ, now needs the big fight. At this division, sure, we will probably see him fight his stablemate at Golden Boy Promotions, Floyd Schofield, in years to come, but the 2 names that most fans are excited about for the next 3 to 4 years seem to be Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis. When asked the top-rated lightweight his thoughts on both fighters, as he gave a slight edge to Davis.
Zepeda, you and Gervonta Davis, good fight?
Zepeda, tú versus Gervonta Davis, una buena pelea.
Una excelente pelea, una buena oportunidad para mí.
They both have great qualities, furthered Zepeda to ProBox TV News. I am going to have to go with Gervonta as the more dangerous fighter of the 2. It appears that fighting on pay-per-view type platforms and getting massive purses have really drawn the attention of Zepeda, along with the power and explosiveness. As though Zepeda is extremely respectful of both, it appears that he views Davis as the top fighter in the division. Given that Davis, along with Ryan Garcia, made over 8 figures in terms of a live gate and sold roughly 2 million pay-per-views, it is hard to argue with the consumer, and the consumer is demanding that Davis be looked at as the man in the division. Davis has the experience, he's explosive, he's strong, and he's fast, further explains Zepeda. Davis is also a good boxer as well. Now, even a person like Zepeda does see that the fight between Tank and Shakur is an easy win for Shakur. So maybe we shouldn't wait for it to be massively entertaining, as Davis easily takes this one. But since the fight has already been scheduled for somewhere around summer this year, let's wait and see what these two fighters will do to come out on top. Whatever the outcome, we do know that this could be a win-win situation for Shakur. Fighting Tank, being Shakur is a big thing. Even he admitted that. So if he lost, he would have gotten a touch of the big league, win or lose.
Yeah, boxing.
Yeah.
Me and Tank the biggest fight.
That's the one.
It's the biggest fight in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be the biggest boxing fight in the world when it happens.
So this could really be a loss and a waste of time for Tank, which he had already made clear before the fight was confirmed. But what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more interesting updates. See you in the next one.